Hello Canada, welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, Elias Tagay. Well, it's time. G7 is here, and let the gong show begin. We're going to start off with, the fact that this is the first time Trump has shown up at a country where he's actually brought his own complete air arsenal. If that doesn't tell you that he doesn't trust Canada, nothing else will. And we'll show you some footage of it. This is insane, the amount of protection that he's brought. It's just an embarrassment to our nation. I mean, we can't even put out wildfires, let alone protect ourselves. So it is what it is. We're gonna deal with a few of the points of this G7 and the insanity of elbows up. Welcome to the 51st state, people. You have been sold out by the socialists and fascists that voted for another continuous tenure of liberals and their insanity. We're gonna deal on this. We're gonna talk a little bit about the shooter. There's a whole bunch of mainstream legacies trying to push this off like he's some sort of a Republican. That couldn't be furthest from the truth. And we've got the proof to prove it. We're not going to get too deep in it. I'll just show you what you need to see, and we can move on from there. We got a few other little things here to talk about as well. Jagmeet hit a concert. This is kind of idiotic, and then gets called out. Yeah, let's just start right off. Canada, my lord. Okay, so we're going to start off with this. This is when Trump landed. Now, we're just going to go through some of the reactions and the preposterous insanity of butt kissing, of the elbows up crowd, the real tough on Trump crowd, they just keep selling. Jet noise. I'm gonna turn this down. So there's the GG. Okay, Anita. Miss Two-Face herself. It's like she's in love with the guy. Look at these liberals. This is hilarious. Now watch carefully. Look at them. Oh, they want to touch him, and big smiles. That's the American ambassador. Look at this. Look at this. Big smiles. Oh! They just love Trump. Thanks for putting us in power, Mr. Trump. And then you got the best premier in Canada. The worst mayor in Canada. That's the Calgary mayor. She's so useless, it's unbelievable. He has a really good conversation actually here. I'm not sure. It sounds like he's giving explaining probably something to do with the whole treaty aspect and just welcoming him on behalf of the Indigenous. He holds his demeanor very well here with Trump. He holds his attention. So there's a full meet and greet. And and then he gets on, he leaves and he goes and he gets on Air Force One helicopter here. And now this is where you got to pay attention to the amount of protection he brought to Canada. Oh. So here they're taxiing off. And, yeah. Just start counting the warplanes behind him. His protection detail in a fascist country. So, how safe do you think he feels in our country, people? So, we're just going to kind of fast forward it here a little bit. Let's take a peek here. This was, well, pretty much the epitome of butt kissing by Mr. Burns. I mean, Carney.
Welcome to Kananaskis and the 2025 G7 Leaders Summit. I'm pleased all leaders are here, honored by your presence. In my home province, Alberta, in the heart of the Canadian Rockies. I'd note that...
I love how he says that, but yet he refused to run in his home province. Instead, he booted out a Liberal to get the most safe possible seat there is in Liberal territory, especially after the, well, gerrymandering and splitting and dumping with the immigration. For anybody who actually pays attention to that, that was without a doubt what they did to Poilievre, a true crime. It tells you that we have some major issues, not like the fact that demographically the way that they purposely split it forced Poilievre's riding to be in the Liberal end of what his riding used to be. And when you look at how it was split, it was done on purpose. There's no doubt about it. It was done on purpose. Anyways, we'll just get back onto this butt kissing because, yeah.
We're also meeting on Treaty 7 territory. These are the traditional lands of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, and the Tsuut'ina First Nations. And we're gathering at one of those turning points in history. I think we all recognize that turning point where the world looks to this table for leadership. 50 years ago in France, a group of leading industrial nations got together in the face of global economic and financial crisis, the end of the international monetary system is known, stagflation threatening, challenges in the Middle East, geopolitical challenges in the Middle East, and it was the frank, informal discussions around that table in Rambouillet that led to a long period of decisions and prosperity at that time. Alors, nous avons la chance d'avoir le doyen du G7 avec Monsieur le Président maintenant. And then following the fall of the Berlin Wall, the G7 gathered to integrate those countries that had been behind the Iron Curtain of communism and to accelerate the flow of capital and trade to the developing world. 23 years ago, the G7 met here in Kananaskis. We were just talking about it. And that was when the world was still reeling from the aftershocks of 9/11, another turning point in history. And amongst the many decisions taken were control of the spread of weapons of mass destruction, a subject that we'll be coming back to. So as I said, we're meeting at one of those hinge moments, those turning points in history. The world's more divided and dangerous. Hostile states and terrorists have expanded their capabilities and their reach, threatening global security in our local communities. Global commerce, energy systems, even intelligence are all being rewired. En tant que membre du G7, nous avons la possibilité de façonner le... Nostalgia isn't a strategy. We have to change with the times and to build a better world. And some of you, such as you, Mr. President, have anticipated these massive changes and are taking bold...
And let the butt kissing commence. Elbows up. You got to spread the cheeks. Come on, elbows up. Kiss some Trumpian butt.
Measures to address them. All of us around this table are reinforcing our militaries and security services for the new world. But we all know that there can be no security without economic prosperity, and no prosperity without resilience. And in a world where shocks flow across the borders, that resilience comes from cooperation. Cooperation around that starts around this table. Cooperation that can lead to a new era of prosperity, energy security and critical minerals, artificial intelligence, quantum, combating human smuggling and transnational repression. So we will have open, frank discussions over the course of the next 2 days. We might not agree on absolutely every issue, but where we will cooperate, we will make an enormous difference for our citizens and for the world, and bring...
I do believe he ahs, way more than the turd ever did. This guy is just a horrible speaker. Just horrible speaker. And yeah, it's
the
just...
next era of prosperity, I hope, to the benefit of those we serve. Avec tout cela, merci beaucoup aux membres de médias. Thank you, colleagues. We have some work to do, which we'll begin in a moment. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So let's just move ahead to this little presser that was given.
All right, thank you. Mr. President, welcome to Canada.
Thank you very much.
It's a great honor. Happy birthday. A few days short. A few days short, but didn't have a chance to see you on the day. Happy birthday to the U.S. military as well, 250th, and this is the 50th birthday, if you will, of the G7. This marks the 50th birthday of the G7, and the G7 is nothing without U.S. leadership, and your personal leadership of the United States, many issues. Geopolitics, economic, technology, and working hand in hand with the United States, Canada and the United States, and the other G7 partners with your leadership. I'm very much looking forward to the meeting. I'm grateful.
I thought those days were over, Mr. Carney. Isn't that what you ran on? Isn't this the exact opposite of what the Liberal Party ran on?
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it, and we've developed a very good relationship, and we're going to be talking about trade and many other things. And we have a whole group of people, some traders and some other people. I see my top economy people, but we have a very...
And that whole rebel, it didn't even make it to court. The Liberals dropped it like a hot potato because they knew they were going to get their butt kicked. So good thing we will be seeing some real questions and some real journalist integrity coming out of this G7, because we have Ezra and his phenomenal team of journalists that are not paper reader reporters. So I'm pretty excited to see some serious questions and dialogue put forward coming out of this. It's a good day for journalism.
A talented group of people, and you do too, and I know they've worked together very well. I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had.
I think Carney just shite himself. Ha ha ha! Trump.
Russia in. And you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But it didn't work out that way. But it used to be the G8, and now it's, I guess, what's that, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake. Even though I wasn't in politics then, I was very loud about it. It was a mistake in that you spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table, so it makes life more complicated. But you wouldn't have had the war. Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot, and I expect to. And I think our primary focus will be trade, and trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so much. Thank you very much.
Mr. President,
How close are you
Say it.
what is holding up a deal with Canada from your perspective?
It's not so much holding up. I think we have different concepts. I have a tariff concept, and Mark has a different concept, which is something that some people like. But we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it today. I'm a tariff person. I've always been a tariff. It's simple, it's easy, it's precise, and it just goes very quickly. And I think Mark has a more complex idea, but also very good. So we're going to look at both, and we're going to see what we're going to come out with something, hopefully.
Do you think a deal is achievable within days, within weeks? Is there that kind of runway?
Yeah, it's achievable. Both parties have to agree. Yeah, sure.
Mr. President, on Israel and Iran, have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah.
What have you heard? What have you heard from the Iranians?
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
And what would you say, in your opinion, what would it take for the U.S. to get involved in this conflict militarily?
I don't want to talk about that.
And you mentioned Putin. Do you think that he should have a seat at the G7 today, that it should be the G8?
I'm not saying he should at this point, because too much water's gone over the dam, maybe. But it was a big mistake. Obama didn't want him, and the head of your country, the proud head of your country, didn't want him. This was a big mistake.
You see him kind of shake his head? Oh my God, we're such an embarrassment on the global stage. The East just, they have decimated our Canadian brand. They just completely smoked us right off the global map. Nobody respects us anymore. And we're just getting, we're being bent right over the rails, and Carney's holding our hands down while all of these other countries, especially the States, is taking advantage of us. And again, previous episodes when I reported there on Friday, like, with this agreement, if it is true what the Economist wrote, we're in some seriously big trouble. That is a complete sellout of Canada. We have, if that goes through, and if that report was accurate, we are officially the 51st state. Embarrassing. God, these liberals are bad.
You wouldn't have that war. You know, you have your enemy at the table. Even, I don't even consider him, he wasn't really an enemy at that time. There was no concept. If I were president, this war would have never happened. But likewise, if he were a member of what was called the G8...
I love how the color is leaving Carney's face, and he's slouching more and more and more. He's just a wimp. He's just a wimp.
At that time. It was always the G8. You wouldn't have a war right now.
Why not? What intelligence support are you providing Israel?
We've always supported Israel. We have for a long period of time, strongly. And Israel's doing very well right now.
Now, if you watch Carney's eyes, there's a couple in the very, very far back. They're trying to point to him to step in, to let the left nut fall. Like, do something here. You try to look impressive. You got to sell your brand. We're liberals. We're fascists. You got to sell your brand. So watch carefully as this small presser goes forward.
Why not have China at the G8? Why not have China here, the biggest economy in the world after the United States?
Well, it's not a bad idea. I don't mind that. If somebody wants to suggest China coming in, I think we suggest. But you want to have people that you can talk to. You know, they don't talk to. Putin speaks to me. He doesn't speak to anybody else. He doesn't want to talk because he was very insulted when he got thrown out of the G8, as I would be, as you would be, as anybody.
So he's
would be.
acknowledging.
He was very insulted, and I mean, he was thrown out by Trudeau, who convinced one or two people.
Right there, because he's slamming the liberal brand right now. Trump is pointing out the obvious of what happened and how these fascist governments literally created the war that's going on with Russia and Ukraine. And they've also helped escalate, especially the Democrat Party in the States, with just letting Iran do with whatever they want in that conflict that's going on between them and Israel. This is what happens with weak governments, people with no moral stature or how would I put it? Just no common sense, no will to stand up to hate. You've got to stand up to it. Evil begets evil. And that's what happens when you get these liberal parties, these socialist parties in control. Chaos. Chaos ensues. And now he's getting cued big time here. He's got people in the back that are like, shut this down. Shut this down. We can't allow Trump to smash our liberal brand. So pay attention carefully to, like I said, he even brought his hands forward when they first started pressuring him, and he's acknowledging them. He's like, okay, I'm gonna step in here.
Along with Obama, he was thrown out, and he's not a happy person about it. I can tell you that. He basically doesn't even speak to the people that threw him out, and I agree with him. Go ahead.
On immigration, why are you ordering ICE to target Democratic inner cities? What's behind that?
I don't know what you're saying.
You did a post last night where you said you want ICE to really target Democratic.
Yeah, I want them to focus on the cities, because the cities are where you really have what's called sanctuary cities, and that's where the people are. I look at New York, I look at Chicago. I mean, you got a really bad governor in Chicago and a bad mayor, but the governor's probably the worst in the country, Pritzker. But I look at how that city has been overrun by criminals, and New York and L.A. Look at L.A. L.A.
So
those people weren't from L.A. They weren't from California. Most of those people, many of those
pushed.
people.
Do something.
Yeah, that's a focus. Biden allowed 21 million people to come into our country.
And now this is where because now he's dealing with the immigration. Which, if you look at Canada's numbers, we had more immigrants come into Canada per capita than the United States. We are being flooded, completely flooded. And they're doing it for a reason. They're doing it for votes to stay in power, and they're doing it for chaos. Because if the more they collapse the system and allow the media to push this discontent amongst all Canadians, dividing us each into our own little factions, and then flooding every area with all of these immigrants, it's a power struggle, which gives them, obviously, look at the votes, look what happened, they're still in power. It destroys the social fabric of society, which we're seeing. Look around. This is not the same Canada. It's not the same Canada that it has been for the last 100 years or longer. It's completely been decimated. So they're on him. They're like, we shut this down.
Of that, vast numbers of those people were murderers, killers, people from gangs, people from jails. They emptied their jails out into the U.S. Most of those people are in the cities. All blue cities, all Democrat-run cities, and they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
Mr. President, you said it would take 2 weeks to decide if
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to exercise my role, if you will, as G7 chair, since we have a few more minutes with the president and his team, and then we actually have to start the meeting to address some of these big issues. So, alors, merci beaucoup pour vos questions.
Yeah, okay. This is Mrs. Krista Freeland, the fake Ukrainian. If you watch my past episodes, you know how I feel about her, what her her grandfather did to my ancestors in Ukraine, and she continues to allow to happen there. Yeah, let's just take a peek at her trying to actually hide when she's busted at the Bilderberg conference.
Christia!
Oh, she's got to run and hide.
Freeland just popped out. She ducked back behind the.
She doesn't want to be seen.
Once she noticed all the cameras. And here is Christia Freeland making her getaway.
Here, watch her. Yeah. Run and hide.
There she is. She just got into that car there. Absolute proof Christia Freeland was here. If anybody wants to argue that, I have the proof.
And so do we, right here. This is the open list. This is the people that are the open list. And they have to do it because they are government employees. So you're not seeing all of the cartel, the green cartel, the psychotic multi-billionaires and their corporations that are there to, steal our money and push their agenda forward. So here it is, Bilderberg meetings. And of course, they have to be on here. They are, it's politics, right? So freedom of information, and we need to know where they are, so they can't hide that from us. And now, again, I post all my information, and you guys should click on this, because you'd be amazed at how there's Russians are there. What? I didn't think we talked to Russians anymore. Oh, but when it comes to big business, big global corporations, you really get to see who's in cahoots with who. And if you just go right down, there she is. Freeland Christia, Canada, Minister of Transport and Internal Trade. So if she has nothing to do with outside trade anymore, global anything, why is she there? Why is she there as the Minister of Transport and Internal Trade? Right. Exactly. Now, this is really good. I'm going to play a little wee bit of this. Yeah. This is the truth, and this is how liberals lie their way through it.
Wishes. Resuming debate. The Honourable Member for Foothills.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be splitting my time three ways. Through you, Chair, does the Minister know what Bill C-50 is?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Bill C-50 is the Sustainable Jobs Act.
Member.
How many energy jobs will be lost as a result of the just transition?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Sustainable Jobs Program will create good-paying Canadian jobs, not kill them. Workers,
the Honourable Member.
How many jobs in agriculture will be lost as a result of the just transition?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, the Sustainable Jobs Act will create good-paying Canadian jobs, not kill them.
The Honourable Member.
How many jobs in the construction industry will be lost as a result of the just transition?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the assertion the member is making is incorrect. The Sustainable Jobs Program.
The Honourable Member.
Well, that's interesting, Chair, because according to a memo from his own department, the minister has said the just transition will cost 200,000 jobs in energy, 290,000 jobs in agriculture, and 1.4 million construction jobs. That is from his own ministry. That's 2.7 million jobs in Canada will be lost to the just transition. Minister, what does the minister support a bill that is threatening 13.5% of Canada's workforce?
Hear, hear. Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what this government is doing is focusing on getting this economy going again, retooling it, rebuilding it. We are focused on getting the One Canadian Economy Act. When we build these projects of national interest, it will put hundreds of thousands of Canadians to work, do good jobs, good pay.
The Honourable Member.
Will the minister repeal Bill C-50 knowing it will cost 2.7 million Canadian jobs?
Well, Minister.
What this government will do is pass the One Canadian Economy Act, which will grow our economy, create jobs.
The honourable member.
Some of our most important allies came to Canada to sign LNG agreements, but this government, Liberals, said no. Can the minister tell me who Germany signed an LNG agreement with?
Yes. Well, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this is a new government with a new plan. We are proposing that we work.
A new government, right? This is the BS. This entire parliament has become just an entire host of people spewing verbal diarrhea. It's just an embarrassment. There are never any answers. There is never any honesty, integrity, openness, transparency. This party has completely destroyed the once semi-respectful place of parliament. It's embarrassing. This is just absolutely embarrassing.
On the One Canadian Economy Act.
We do have a point of order. The member for Oakville West.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I cannot hear Minister what he's saying. If there's a question on the floor, I would like to hear the answer.
Order.
Please respect. Thank you.
Order. We will have a little order. The minister has a couple seconds.
Thank you. I just pointed I have a hearing issue, so if you'd like to pick on my ear, that please go ahead. Mr. Speaker.
He does have a hearing problem. He's a Liberal. They don't hear facts.
I've forgotten the question.
The honourable member.
I can answer it for him. Qatar. Who did Japan sign an LNG agreement with?
The honourable minister.
Mr. Speaker, this government is focused on passing the One Canadian Economy Act. That will help us grow our LNG.
The honourable member.
Again, the answer is Japan if the minister can't answer those questions. What would have been the revenue to the Canadian federal government had they signed those LNG agreements with Germany, Japan, Greece, and Poland?
Good question. The honourable minister.
Now, those were all contracts that they were asking, they were begging, and those are only a few. There were over 23 different countries and nations that came forward over the last 8 years begging Canada for our energy in order for them to, well, fictitiously hit this climate target, because they knew there was no other way to bring their emissions down except for take the greenest energy, most just the only energy that would be a guarantee that no matter what would keep going. When it's clouded, solar panels quit. When the wind ain't blowing, windmills don't turn. And the costs involved in these green initiatives, the whole solar and wind thing, they don't work on mass scale. They are great for homes, farms, small businesses in order for them to kind of cut their costs down. But in order to eliminate themselves off the grids, they would need huge capacity of batteries in order to store enough energy during downtime for them to keep continuously having the energy. And now if you have a business that deals in like freezers or human life like hospitals, you need to have a guaranteed energy source. And the only thing that we've got that's guaranteed is our fossil fuels. So these countries have been waiting, have been begging, and nothing. And like I said, Trump took advantage of this, and he went around, and this is part of that whole annexation. He was purposely targeting the countries that were asking Canada. Those were the first countries he went to, and he signed deals. Japan, $1 trillion deal. That could have been Canada. And that's just one amongst how many that Trump has signed. He's almost completely encircled us. He's taking all of the contracts away. And what he's going to be doing is he's taking our energy, taking it to the States, shipping it out, and selling it, making a huge markup, controlling a large portion of the energy throughout the world. And it's all done on our backs and our poverty. This Liberal Party is just, there is no common sense at all. These people have no concept of what math is, let alone ethics, or a conscience.
Mr. Speaker, this government is focused on moving forward, not backwards. This new government is proposing, with the support of all of the premiers, to pass the One Canadian Economy Act. That will have us.
The honourable member.
what would have been the revenue to the federal government had the Trudeau Liberals signed those LNG agreements with our most trusted allies, Germany, Japan, Poland, and Greece?
The Honourable Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, the member seems to be implying that by coming up with these sorts of numbers, it affects your ability to get projects done. I'd like to let the member know I have built major projects throughout my career.
The Honourable Member. Order. Order.
The LNG agreement between Japan and the United States is 5.5 million cubic feet of LNG every single year. What is the value of that to Canadian dollars had Canada had that agreement?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I believe yesterday the value of natural gas closed on AECO at $1.01. Obviously, that's not how these projects work. They have long-term contracts. They're set with suppliers, but we're focused on...
The Honourable Member.
So Japan has signed a long-term agreement with LNG with the United States, our number one competitor. What would the value of that been to Canadian taxpayers and revenue to the federal government had that agreement been signed with Canada?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, he can do the math. If he wants to tell me the amount of a product that is sold at the long-term contract, we can figure that out. We are not focused on going back.
The Honourable Member, final question.
He should be focused on this because this is lost jobs and revenue for Canadians because of their ideological position on Canadian LNG. Does the minister believe to reach consensus, any province, territory, or group has a veto on a national infrastructure project?
Well, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what we believe is that the Prime Minister and the Premiers got together in Saskatoon with a shared vision. What the Prime Minister has said is consensus is better than not having consensus. We will pass the One Canadian Economy Act. We will get consensus.
Order. The time has expired for that section. Resuming debate, the Honourable Member for...
It's just, this is absolute insanity. And the media is pushing this off like this whole interprovincial thing it all went off so great, it brought everybody together, and it actually hasn't. It's actually divided the nation even more. Just the media isn't showing or talking about it. You have BC who literally doesn't want any more pipelines. He stated it. He can sidestep all he wants. The facts are out there. Previous episodes, I proved this. He doesn't want it. He's relying on that small geographic area within BC that controls BC as an entire whole. He's doing the same thing that the Liberal Party does federally. He uses that small geographic area that holds the highest amount of population, that are living in a la land, surrounded by unicorn farts and all the rest of it, thinking that this anti-Canadian energy is the world's savior when they're doing more harm than good. And the facts are there. You've got EB and Ford, who have both put through the same agenda, hooking up to the same corporations that put not only them in power, but the Liberal Party in power, who are going to be the ones marching in, pushing everybody aside to take control of all of the rare earth minerals. Yeah, and these are the same companies and corporations, that are in cahoots with the Trump administration. They're all going to be making oodles of money. All of these Laurentian elite and globalist cabals that stick together and sit on the same tables and same investors. And Canada, too bad. In no more private industry. This is the corporate world. This is what they want you to think. You've got Quebec, who's refusing to even allow a pipeline to go in when more than 70% of the people who live there say, yeah, why don't we put it in? You've got the East Coast now, who's going, well, we're not going to do the uranium, nuclear bad. What? And instead they're going to go with this green windmills. And what are these windmills? Again, previous episode. It's just funny how all these pension plans and stuff were shifting into these companies, and then within the year, legislation was passed in order to promote and help these businesses. And then all of a sudden you have these elections, and there's a whole bunch of kind of weird stuff going on, and now they're pushing for this project to get pushed forward, which science has already proven is absolute, it's fiction. It can never happen. Hydrogen will not be the savior to replace natural gas. It never will be. We're not there. We're not ready. I shouldn't say never. Maybe 40, 50 years. But yeah. Anyways, we're completely more divided now than ever. The only people who are actually doing anything are the premiers within themselves, talking to each other, signing their own agreements without the federal government even being involved. Carney's done nothing except for create more divide, which is perfect for him, because that's how the Liberals stay in power. They don't care about you. All they care about is Toronto, is that whole Laurentian elite, that little 3% geographic. Same thing with Ford. It's all about the high populated areas in Ontario. If you're rural, they don't care about you. They don't care. We're going to move on. This is, welcome to Canada. It's crazy. Okay, so this whole Minnesota lawmaker endings, we're going to deal with a little bit of this, because the mainstream media is trying to push it off like this guy's a Republican. Don't believe the media. These guys are...
Vance Luther Bolter. He's 57 years old. He has a PhD in education, and interestingly enough, he's been appointed twice by Governor Tim Walz as a private sector representative to the Governor's Workforce Council, once in 2016 and then again in 2019, with that term expiring in 2023. Now, here's the interesting part, and if this is in fact true, the guy that they're looking for, according to the Associated Press, it is. He is the Director of Security Patrols at Praetorian Guard Services here in the Twin Cities. So according to their website, again, this is Praetorian Guard Security Services, as Director of Security, he is involved with security situations in the Eastern Europe, Africa, North America, and Middle East, including the West Bank, southern Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. He has worked for the largest U.S. oil refinery company, the world's largest food company based in Switzerland, and is the world's largest convenience retailer based in Japan. So an extensive security background, and that he worked for security guard services here in the Twin Cities. Things are starting to line up in terms of the security car that was found at the scene, in terms of what the suspect may have been wearing.
So we got piles of evidence, and pretty much everything you listed off, if you listen carefully to what all the organizations, even through this Praetorian Guard that he was put into, it's all very Democratic orientated, and explains a lot on what his fundamental beliefs are. We're going to scroll ahead a little wee bit here. I'm going to go to a different, actually this is a different time with Sky News.
And Pete, we also have learned that one of the two voted against a provision to allow the continuation of health care to illegal immigrants.
Now this is what put him over the top, was these two a few Democrats, especially this one lady that voted against her own party, in favor with the Republican Party, to remove free health care from illegal immigrants. And it's not the children, it's anybody who's an adult. They wanted to remove it. It'll help push them out of the country if they can't come here and take advantage of the system, or down in the States, which same. I mean, they're doing it here too.
In Minnesota, I think we have a little bit of that. Can we have a look at that? We don't have that grab. Oh, we do. So let's just have a look at this here, Pete.
I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision.
So that was one of the two victims here talking about this this provision that they voted against, giving health care to illegals. She looked quite sort of very upset and shaken about that vote. And I'm just wondering, given that there's been also some talk that the shooter had some No Kings material with him and so on, that this could be, we don't know yet, but something that may be coming from a more radical faction of the left. We don't know yet, obviously, and it's all alleged and it all has to be investigated. But what do you know, Pete?
Well, I mean, I just think with all of that said, and obviously more will be revealed in the coming hours and the coming days too, but I just feel like it's probably points, like you said there, to the factions with the Democrats at the moment. They don't know which way to go. So you've got the extreme left flank of the Democrats, and then you've got the other flank of the Democrats at the moment at war because they don't really know how to take on Donald Trump's policies and the rise of the Republicans. And it wasn't that long ago, James, was it, that we had the election and it just pointed to a landslide win for the Republicans. So again, it just points to the Democrats being all at sea. But you know what's been interesting over the...
So there, I'm not going to show because it'll just take too long. This is a good, almost a 10-minute clip about the shooter, and it kind of discusses everything. It tells how they arrested him, kind of how everything went down. They also talk about this, not necessarily a manifesto per se, but the fact that he did have a hit list on in his vehicle, amongst a whole pile of other things that are definitely linking him towards the left-leaning agenda. All the people that were on the list, this was a targeted leftist psychopath who was really mad, especially since his party was crumbling, and he wanted to, I don't know, do what he did in order to have these, I guess, bad Democrats replaced by even worse Democrats, I guess. Well, to him, again, they'd be better, but yeah, absolute insanity.
It had a security camera. I've seen the footage from that camera, and it is chilling. Belter knocked on Senator Hoffman's front door and repeatedly shouted, "This is the police, open the door." Senator Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, came to the door. When they opened the door, Belter shined the flashlight in their faces and said there had been a shooting reported in the house. Belter asked if they had any weapons.
Now the mask he's wearing is a mask that, I can't remember the actor's name, but from the movie Breaking Bad, the TV series Breaking Bad. It's one of these real life masks. So he shined the light in their face in order to somewhat blind them and take the focus off. He is educated in this type of craft, the whole security defense, and so he understands this. This was done purposeful in order to get him into the house, so he was not visible outside, and then of course what he was planning would be quieter because the doors would be closed when he decided to do his end of life thing that was his goal. Anyways, I'm going to post this link as well. You can watch it in its entirety. It breaks down, like I said, everything, a lot of what was in the vehicle. Yeah, this is just craziness, absolute craziness. And I could go on and on and on showing you a bunch of different pictures and proof that he's a Democrat. It's right here. I mean, read the shirts. This is just outside of a big protest, a Democrat protest, where he was joined with all of his comrades. Yeah, and I mean, there it is, the shirt. I think, therefore I am a Democrat. Yeah. So again, don't let mainstream push you sideways, because this is what they're gonna do. This is the psychotic left. This is the people who vote this way. These are fascist people. They really are. Now, while all this is going on, the media isn't talking about or showing a lot of this. This is going on. And it's not just Alberta. It's happening in Toronto as well. This is the extreme T people of the Khalistanis. These people, they like to say that this is a Sikh thing. It's not. These are extremist Sikhs. This is like saying that all Christians and Catholics are part of the KKK. They're not, obviously. It's a very, very, very small percentage. But these people are loud and boisterous, and the media isn't showing you who they really are. Now, I've shown, again, previous episodes. Check out the whole where, like, I did a three-part series on how the Trudeau family and the Liberal Party in general are affiliated with the Khalistan people, the Khalistan people, and the Khalistan have been funded, backdoor funded through China. China uses them in order to cause division in India. China and India do not get along. India, democratic. China, well, psychotic fascists. They prop these people up and they use them to create that fear, hate, and division, which they can now play with a voting system. Same thing here in Canada. And I've shown how even Pierre knew before the flight went down, 182 Air India flight years ago, decades ago. He knew what was going on. Everybody knew what was going on. The States had a file. They were watching and following everything that Pierre Trudeau did because the man was a full-fledged socialist, and it scared the bejesus out of the United States that all of a sudden Canada went so far left so fast. How he was spending so much time in China, how he was all of a sudden importing all of these Khalistani extremists, and the States knew what was going on. There's even a witness, which I show, who says they knew, and there's even a witness with the last one here that says that our government was talking and was actually surveilling this Najjar, who ended up being end-of-lifed. So there's way more here than what the mainstream's pushing. They're pushing Modi. It's not Modi, people. We have internal problems. These people have infected us. They're everywhere. They work the borders. They're everywhere. These people need to be listed as a T organization and completely shut down and get them out of our country. Send them back to wherever they came from. We don't need this here. We don't need this. This is crazy lunacy ideology.
Don't touch my camera. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. Don't touch me. You get away from me. Don't touch me again.
Yeah, I didn't touch him. Here's the thing though,
Like, they're allowed to carry spears and swords, and if you're a Canadian, you can't carry a pocket knife. And depending on where you go, it can be 3 centimeters to 6 centimeters. Anything longer than that, and it's a weapon. But yet these people are walking around with real swords, real spears. This is insanity, people. This is insanity. There is no equality in Canada anymore. They're using our system against us. This is the fall. This is how countries fall, which we're seeing in Ireland right now and in Britain right now. And I don't know if you watch a lot of different independent media, but Ireland last week, there were tens upon tens of thousands of people marching, and they're calling it anti-immigration and white supremacist pushes, and it's not. It's religion, all different religions, all different ethnicities that are literally from that area, from Ireland or from Britain, generational, or even some that have actually ended up moving there through the proper process and have assimilated and learned to adapt and be part of that, have joined in on these because they're seeing these massive R gangs that are going around and abusing women. And it's gone out of control. The child trafficking out of control, the drugs out of control, the violence out of control, the inequality, how there's money given out from the people who are actually working or now lost their jobs and are being replaced by this immigrant system. It's a full flush. They're trying, it's a replacement. This is the global agenda people have been warning about for 15 years. They saw it coming. And then everybody kept voting these leftist governments in, and now these countries are trying to fight back. And you watch, I will be showing some clips here this week because I've been kind of watching it progress. There's a huge march planned. There's 2 planned for this week in Ireland, and I believe that after the first one in Ireland goes off, guaranteed we will see England do the same thing all over again, because they've been protesting every day. So is Ireland, protesting every day. But these organized ones are huge. Absolutely huge. Yeah, this is total insanity. Total insanity. And, okay, so Jagmeet gets busted going to a rap concert. And I don't really care about either of these guys. I think they're both idiots, Drake and the other guy. I'm not a rap guy. I don't listen to it. I hear about what they say and their politics, and personally, they're all insane. But I guess Drake called him out and called him a goof for going to his competitor or enemy or whatever. And the biggest thing for me showing this is that there's all this going down about how and again, a certain Sikh came forward who's part of the Khalistan. He's not a real Sikh as far as I'm concerned. I have friends that are real Sikhs, and they don't even want to talk about it. They're like, no Khalistan. Like, these people are psychotic. They don't want no part of that. The majority, it's like 88%, 89% of the Sikh community in India back Modi and his government and see their political system as being very fair, because he also has Sikhs within parliament that are part of Modi's government. And there's less Khalistani extremists in India than there are outside of its country. And I think it's 3 countries between the UK, Australia, and Canada. We have more Khalistani individuals here, the UK and in Australia, than they do in all of India. It's been allowed to foment into this bigger and bigger extremist organization because of the leftist lunacy that's allowed it to happen, and are literally grouping them and they allow this to go down. They allow this type of hate speech, and now they're saying Jagmeet needs protection. Well, Jagmeet, he used the Khalistans to get elected. That he's one of these people. He's a loser politician, and he's saying, oh, well, now he needs all this protection. Well, and now you're at a concert, like. Hello? He sure doesn't look like he's that happy seeing his picture get taken, a little bit caught off guard, right? So this whole thing is just silliness. And now this so there's a law school student, former law student takes the University of Saskatchewan to court over this kangaroo misconduct trials. I wanted to go over this. This is just more insanity of the leftists in our education system. We've allowed this inequality. I can't believe that I can't believe Canada treats certain races or religions better than others. This is, man, people who study history, I'm a history fanatic. This is how you allow nasty stuff to happen. Like the nastiest of the stuff to happen. Hitler this is what he wallowed in, and this is how he created what he did in Europe, is by allowing this secularism, this complete removal of what democracy is supposed to be. University of Saskatchewan Law School allows some of its Indigenous students to take more time on exams for the purpose of equity. So when this blew up in a faculty controversy in 2022, with proponents of the benefit aghast that anyone would ever even question the idea, as others quietly made their concerns known to student leaders, one member of the law school tried to make peace between the factions, only to be punished by the university for his efforts. Tim Haggertson's crime? Writing an open letter to his fellow students from a neutral position, a fostered dialogue an attempt to inject reason into the debate. His punishment? A campaign by other students to sabotage his career, culminating in an official finding of misconduct by a spineless university that appears to have forgotten its role in protecting free expression on campus. The campaign at least didn't work. Not now a lawyer and a national director of the Runnymede Society, whose local chapter events this reporter often attends, Hagstrom, via his legal team at civil liberties charity Freedom's Advocate, is asking the Saskatchewan Court of King's Bench, I guess now, to have the misconduct ruling thrown out, along with the university's policies that work to deny procedural fairness to those who don't empathetically agree with diversity, equity, and inclusion. It should be the other way. It should be diversity, inclusion, and equity, so that it's spelled die. Because this is how a society dies, is by putting these just absolutely asinine policies into place. He alleges unfair charter infringement, blah, 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 blah. I hope this goes to court, and it better win. I know our courts are an absolute joke. And then I just wanted to play this one little clip to end the show off
It's roughly the size of a 15-story building. Asteroid 2024 YR4, dubbed the City Killer when it was discovered last year, was initially given a 3% chance of striking Earth on the 22nd of December 2032. New projections from NASA have downgraded that threat to almost zero. Instead, our nearest neighbor, the Moon, may now be in danger. NASA has upgraded the chances of a lunar collision to 4.3%. Though unlikely, the impact could be visible from Earth and may leave a new lunar crater up to 1 kilometer in diameter.
Objects in space where there is so much space and the chances of hitting anything is extremely low in most circumstances, 4% is very high indeed.
Debris from the impact would then rain down on Earth. Whilst most of it would burn up in our atmosphere, it could still create problems.
This influx of material could damage satellites, communication satellites, weather satellites, spy satellites, and impact the International Space Station. And there's also the threat that if a satellite, particularly a military satellite that's observing sensitive parts of the Earth, is struck, then that might create an air of uncertainty as to whether or not it is a natural event or a hostile event from a foreign power.
If you're wondering if an Armageddon-style mission to deflect the asteroid might be possible, some think it's a good idea.
My recommendation for anyone who has the will and the money would be perhaps to investigate the possibility of trying to direct the orbit of this asteroid, whatever the outcome, just to learn something about how we might protect ourselves from future threats.
The asteroid will soon disappear from observation. We'll have to wait until it gets closer again in 2028 to see just what chance the Moon has of a miss. Vincent McAviney.
So the biggest thing that they're worried about is that this, if it hits flat, like straight onto the Moon, then we're just gonna have to deal with a lot of debris, and it'll be smaller debris, and of course it won't be an immediate. It'll slowly keep hitting us, and like they said, it's not necessarily a big worry, although there is a lot of stuff in between, like the satellites, that they're worried about. But there's a lot of scientists on the other end of this that are saying that if it hits like a side glance, especially if it's between the 15 and 25 degree angle on the surface, that it's large enough to create even larger chunks than the actual asteroid itself, because of the actual structure that the surface of the Moon has on it. This could be catastrophic, not only to the orbit of the Moon, but the type of debris that could hit us could be devastating and long-lasting. Lasting over the period of like years. We could be just constantly bombarded with different pieces. So anyways, I figured I just wanted to show that because these numbers have been going up more and more, and now there's like I said, there's a lot of the astrologists and stuff there's a big divide between them. Some of them are speaking out, others are mad that their voices aren't being heard about how severe this could be, and how we should be putting a little bit more time and money into this, because this could affect all life on our planet. Anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. if you have, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And please, I'm getting censored. Like I said, I allow the media and even myself sometimes to use some words that YouTube does not like, especially the Canadian government that controls YouTube here in Canada. Between both of them, yeah, I get hit hardcore, but sorry, just the facts. That's why I got this channel going. That's my job. And I'm not going to stop and hold back information or try to, hand you a sucker when really there's a lot more going on in the real world. And I'm here to show it. And in order for you to see it, realize it, understand it in its full context, you need to hear all the right words and see all the right video. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you are, punch that notification key bell so you don't miss any future episodes. And it also helps me not only build a channel, but fight this heavy suppression, just major censorship that goes down on a lot of us independents. So until the next time, you guys, I'm Alias the Guy. You've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal. Stay informed.